Hello, everybody. This is John Paval with Access Arts Live, and this week's big stage live stream roundup for the week of February 23rd to March 2nd. And there you see the magnificent lineup there to my right of the 15 different big screen orchestral and operatic live streams coming at you this week. There are 3 operatic productions coming to you this week, and I will be telling you about some of them in different levels of detail because generally for operatic productions, I like to go into more detail in a separate live stream. But we have so much going on this week that very happy about it because it shows that the whole live stream production business is alive and well and expanding as we get into the heart of the season. Having said that, without further ado, wait a second, there's one more thing I want to correct on this. Our service provider was having enormous difficulties and we didn't even know if we would be able to go live today. So I'm very happy to say that we are able to go live today. And there's just a little bit more initial business that I need to take care of than I usually need to take care of as we get started. So here we are, 1 minute and 35 seconds into this week's live stream action. Let's start with the first because we have this. Today is Wednesday, February 25th already, and we have several live streams to tell you about that are going to be happening this evening. So I want to get to them as quickly as possible. The first of them is just a half an hour from now. Okay. Excuse me. A thoroughly French symphonic evening in Budapest is live streaming today, Wednesday, February 25th, from Müpa Budapest Concert Hall as the 90-year-old doyen of the international conductor community, the Frenchman Jean-Claude Casadesus, leads the Hungarian National Phil in Debussy's Afternoon of a Faun, Saens' Heavenly Symphony No. 3 for organ, and the rising star French cellist Aurélien Pascal joins in on Saint-Saëns' Cello Concerto No. 1. A venerable French conductor with decades of experience and a rising star French cellist just coming up in the world. This will be at the Bela Bartok National Concert Hall, 7:30 in the evening. European time, which is about a half hour from now. 1:30 in the afternoon for those of you on the East Coast and 10:30 in the morning on the West Coast. I've already told you what they're going to be playing. The conductor here, Jean-Claude Casadesus, has been a conductor since the 1970s. He founded the Orchestra Nationale of Lille, France, which is a lovely university town. I worked there once in a theater piece. And he spent 40 years there after creating it in 1976 and now does international touring. He took that orchestra around the world to 32 different countries on 4 continents. And Lille it's not Paris, it's not Marseille, it's not Lyon, it's not even one of the 3 largest cities in France, but he really did a number with it. And he recorded more than 30 CDs with them. So, the cellist Aurélien Pascal, he's 32 years old, born in 1994, won awards at Navarra, Paolo, and the Queen Elizabeth competition in 2017. He's played with a lot of different orchestras. So he's played with Monte Carlo, Helsinki, Hangzhou, Barcelona, Taipei, Hiroshima, chamber orchestras in Cologne, Zurich, Potsdam, Lithuania, Luxembourg, etc. So he's on the way up, and he's already done a number of recordings of cello concertos and sonatas. So he's well on his way. Looks like a lovely French evening in in Budapest, and that Saens Symphony for organ just always kills me. Okay, let's move on then to the second of tonight's live streams, which will be a little later, an hour later this evening. And this next one will be coming from the Bournemouth Symphony in England. Music director Mark Wigglesworth leads the Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra in a live stream of Elgar's Second Symphony and Beethoven's Violin Concerto Wednesday, February 25th at 8:30 in the evening European time, with favored violinist Clara Yumi Kang returning to Bournemouth to play Beethoven's Concerto for Violin in the first half of the program. You know, Wigglesworth, in 2018, he went as a guest conductor for the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra, and they made him a principal guest conductor right away. And in 2024, they made him their chief conductor. In 2021, he was named the Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra's principal guest conductor, and in 2024, they made him their chief conductor. So he moves in and he takes over. Anyway, this is the only concerto that Beethoven completed for the violin in that period of time when he was trying to write as much as possible because he realized he was losing his hearing. And Clara Yumi Kang, I call her a favorite artist because she played Benjamin Britten's Violin Concerto with Wigglesworth and this orchestra back in May. That was live streamed too. So she's she also has made a recent recording of all of Beethoven's violin sonatas with accentus. She's what is Clara Yumi Kang? She's young and was a total prodigy. She was already offered a full scholarship at Juilliard when she was like 7 years old. So, and it's been onward and upward from there. I can't tell you more about too much about each of these because we have 15 that I need to get through in a roughly 30-minute live stream here. So, but these are people that know and like each other playing together, and it should be a good evening. It's not free of charge. It costs £11 to watch the Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra live streams. Then then we move on to Thursday, and Thursday, the first concert to tell you about is out in Tomsk. And it's this guy. Tomsk Philharmonic artistic director, the top Russian conductor Vladimir PONKIN, makes a long-awaited visit to the podium to conduct Mozart's Jupiter Symphony, his overture to the opera La Clemenza di Tito, and Schubert's Symphony No. 8, what you could call his finished symphony, as distinct from the unfinished one. Anyway, that's at 7 o'clock Siberian time, 1 o'clock in the afternoon here in Europe, 8 in the morning in New York, and 11 o'clock at night down under in Australia. Tchaikovsky called Mozart's Jupiter Symphony, the Symphony No. 41, one of the wonders of symphonic music. Tchaikovsky really loved Mozart, and I don't get that. Then they do the Mozart overture to La Clemenza di Tito was the last operatic work that Mozart wrote. And as for Vladimir PONKIN, he's been a professor at the Moscow Conservatory for years now. He was during the 90s. He was the conductor of the Krakow Philharmonic Orchestra, and then he was the music director and principal conductor of the Moscow Phil, and et cetera. And then this is already in the 90s. But in September 2022, he was appointed director of the Tomsk Philharmonic. And then last year in March, a year ago, Igor Berendeyev, whom I'm usually talking about with that orchestra, became the orchestra's principal conductor, but PONKIN remains there as the artistic director. So if you want to hear Russians playing Tchaikovsky's favorites, there you go. Okay, then next up is Thursday, February 26th. Also, the Vienna State Opera live streams a performance of Verdi's Luisa Miller, conducted by Michel Mariatti, staged by Philippe Grigorian, with a top international cast. There's Robert Tagliavini, Ferry de Tomaso, Daria Shuskova, Marco Mimica, George Peteyan, and Nadine Sierra. I will have to do a separate live stream introduction of that because there's no time to give you details on all those people. So we then move on to the other concert on Thursday, which is with Ryan Bancroft. If you don't know Ryan Bancroft, he is the, well, let me introduce him in a moment first. Thursday, February 26th, Ryan Bancroft, the top guy at the Royal Stockholm Philharmonic, crosses the Baltic to lead the Tapiola Sinfonietta in John Sibelius's Symphony No. 4 in A minor, Opus 63, and Brahms's Symphony No. 4 in E minor, Opus 98. The Tapiola is a top chamber orchestra, but they play symphonic orchestra music. Ryan Bancroft works closely with them and has done so for a number of years. It's a good pairing, and if you like Sibelius and Brahms, it's a good evening for you, free of charge. Then what's up next? Moving right along, as they say. What we have this week are a lot of combined concerts going on, in which you have several. You have a conductor, and then you have more than one soloist, which also makes this a complicated week in which to tell you about everybody who's playing, because there's only so much time. I'm accustomed to talking about one soloist. Now I'm talking about two soloists in half of the concerts that are going on this week. Friday, February 27th, the Frankfurt Radio Symphony hosts the esteemed Belgian conductor Philippe Hervégue, along with soprano Dorothy Miels and flautist Sebastian Wittiger, to perform Bach's Orchestral Suite No. 2 in B minor, Bach's Mein Herz schwimmt i Blut, my heart is swimming in blood, by Bach from Cantata BWV 199, and Franz Schubert's Unfinished Symphony No. 7. As I've mentioned to you elsewhere, they're playing the finished symphony on Thursday night. Anyway, this is Friday at 8 in the evening European time, 2 o'clock in New York, and 11 in the morning in LA. Dorothy Miels is one of the leading interpreters of 17th and 18th century music. She's a soprano, and she's so well connected with that kind of music. She has her own page on the Bach Cantatas website. So I'm going to put the link in for that when we give you the links to all of these performances, so you can look at, she can look her up. I mean, you can see her in person at the Bach Voca Ansbach Festival, the Kottener Bach Fest Lager, the Bach Fest Leipzig, the Halle and Göttingen Handel festivals, the Suntory Music Foundation Summer Festival, Boston Early Music Festival, etc. That's her thing. Now, as for Phil, so she's a perfect person to come in and sing about her heart swimming in blood, according to Bach. As Hervégue, for 40, he's been around for a long time. He's been around for at least 50 years, known as a Bach specialist, and he doesn't only want to be seen that way. A few years ago, he even said, well, I'm a little bit tired of Bach, but I hope he's not too tired to do a good job with this today. What he says about conducting, I think, is instructive. He says, others defend their interpretative freedom, but that's just false routine. I defend the score. That's what you'll get Friday night. You'll get Philippe Hervégue defending the score of Bach and Schubert, and a lovely soprano and singing it, and a flautist in the mix. Then we move on to the next offering on Friday. So yeah, and this is this is the second of the operatic offerings, but I can tell you at least a little bit about this one because it's not necessarily a full-scale opera. Can't tell you everything, though. Francois Xavier Roth is back leading the SWR Symphony this Friday, February 27th. Live streaming works by Wolfgang Riem and Act 1 from Wagner's Die Walküre, with soprano Johanni van Oostrom as Sieglinde, tenor Maximilian Schmidt as Siegmund, and bass Mika Karas as Hunding. That'll be at 8 o'clock in the evening on Friday in Europe, 2 o'clock on the East Coast, 11 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. The Wolfgang Ring piece is in Schrift for orchestra, and then they do this Act 1 from Wagner's Die Walküre. I can tell you that Johanni van Oostrom is the soprano. She's a South African. She is a Wagner and Strauss specialist. She made her debut recently at the Paris National Opera as Elsa in Lohengrin, shortly after performing the role with the Bavarian State Opera with, guess who was conducting? Francois Xavier Roth. So they've worked together. Now she's also this year Sieglinde in the first act of Wagner's Die Walküre with the Orchestra Nationale de France. I think that was last year that she did that. And so Francois Xavier Roth, who keeps track of that, in reverse now, after she does Die Walküre with the French orchestra, well, now he'll have her do it with his orchestra. So it should be these are, again, two collaborators who have worked together in the past. So, and I think that makes a difference because it shows that they've had a successful collaboration. One's likely to do so again with Die Walküre. If you're a Wagner lover, have at it Friday night. Okay. All right. Then we move on to yet another. There's so much going on this weekend. I'm virtually overwhelmed by it. So now we have another one where we have two soloists. Friday, February 27th, the Cologne Philharmonic brings in conductor Andris Polga, South Korean violinist Sarang Seoyeon Kim, and German cellist Daniel Müller-Schott for an evening of 19th century romantic works by Schumann, Brahms, and Tchaikovsky. That too is at 8 o'clock in the evening, European time, 2 o'clock in New York, 11 o'clock in the morning in LA. They'll start with Schumann's Manfred Overture, Opus 115. Then they'll do Brahms's Concerto in A minor for violin, cello, and orchestra. And that's where we get South Korean violinist Kim and the German cellist Müller-Schott. Then they'll finish up with Tchaikovsky's Symphony No. 4 in F minor, Opus 36. Andris Polga is a Latvian conductor, currently chief conductor of the Stavanger Symphony Orchestra, but he's going to be touring Asia with the WDR Symphony Orchestra, the Cologne Phil, and Daniel Müller-Schott I think this is an opening concert for that tour. Anyway, and Schott is also going to be playing with the Sydney Symphony Orchestra, the Auckland Philharmonia in New Zealand, the Tasmanian Symphony, and the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra with Mark Wigglesworth, who is a conductor there, as well as the chief conductor at Bournemouth, which we were talking about just a moment ago. And Schott, he's a very experienced top cellist. You can see he's busy touring all over the place. That means he's in demand. He's good. Sarang Seoyeon Kim, she's only like about 18 years old. She was born in 2008. First prize in 2021 in the Issei International Music Competition. First prize at the Cooper International Competition, youngest ever, in 2022. And in 2023, again, the youngest ever winner of the Tibor Varga International Competition at only the age of 14. So you have a real youngin here, but she's surrounded by two very experienced people holding this all together. Looks like a very interesting combination of, at the Cologne Phil. Okay, then we move on to another concert for which I don't think I'm going to have a photo for you at all. So I'll just put up the generic. The North Caucasian Philharmonic Saturday matinee live stream on February 28th features cellist Oleg Sendetsky in works for cello and chamber orchestra by Myaskovsky and Salmanov, Prokofiev's Seventh Symphony, and excerpts from Prokofiev's ballet Cinderella, with Ilya Gaysin at the podium. This is at 2 p.m. European time. That's why I call it a matinee. 8 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast, midnight down under in Australia. The Myaskovsky's piece is a sonata for cello and piano, which has been adapted to cello and chamber orchestra. The Salmanov is a monologue for cello and chamber orchestra. Then they do. Then I guess they take a break, though I'm not sure when they take the break. Then they do Prokofiev's Symphony No. 7, and then they do excerpts from the Cinderella ballet by Prokofiev. Cinderella's arrival at the ball, the grand waltz, the gavotte, and Cinderella's departure from the ball, a waltz. There you have it. Then next on your dance card on Saturday will be the Berlin Philharmonic, which, as you know, if you've been following Access Arts Live at all, is not free of charge. The Berlin Philharmonic charges a minimum of €9.90 to view their live streams, but very often they have a 1-month free subscription program going on, and in that case, then you get to see this live stream free of charge. So let's talk about this one. Saturday, February 28th, Tugan Sokiev conducts the Berlin Philharmonic in Berlioz's Symphonie Fantastique, along with soloists Noah Bendix Balgli and Bruno Delepelere in Brahms's double concerto for violin and cello. Yes, again, this double soloist. We've seen a number of them this weekend. Everything's piling up. All these operatic things with multiple singers and multiple soloists. It's just, the live streaming is just bursting, I'm telling you. Anyway, Sokiev is he was the music director of the orchestra in Toulouse from 2008 to 2022. He was the music director at the Bolshoi Theater in Moscow from 2014 to 2022. Funny how many things seem to end in 2022. But he regularly conducts the Berlin Phil and the Vienna and Munich and Dresden and Bavarian Radio Symphony Orchestra. So he's in Germany all the time conducting. And also in the U.S., the New York Phil, the Philadelphia Orchestra, Boston, Chicago, etc. So they'll start out with Mendelssohn's Overture to the Hebrides, Fingal's Cave. Then they'll do the double concerto by Brahms for violin and cello. Then they'll do the Symphonie Fantastique, Opus 14. For those who count the opus numbers. Noah Bendix Bagley is an American classical violinist, first concertmaster of the Berlin Philharmonic. He's from Asheville, North Carolina. He's all grown up and concertmaster of the Berlin Phil. Who knew when he was growing up? I just wonder. He was like 14, if anybody imagined. Don't know. Formerly concertmaster with the Pittsburgh Phil. So he's a concertmaster guy, not just an instrumentalist. And Bruno Delepelere is a principal cellist of the Berlin Phil since November 2013. The Berlin Morgen Post says he plays beautifully enough to make you cry. So this is an in-house Berlin Philharmonic event playing Brahms. Okay, and we have then 2 more live streams to tell you about, and I think we'll somehow manage to stay within the boundaries of a half hour to which I restrict myself. I'll tell you about this next one first. We'll go Hysteron, Proteron, I think. Yeah, we'll jump ahead to the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. French conductor Fabien Gabel and Swiss flautist Emmanuel Pahoud, each highly esteemed in their own right, team up with the Detroit Symphony Saturday, February 28th to live stream the U.S. premiere of Sami Musa's Concerto for Flute and Orchestra, a work which was co-commissioned by the DSO. And I think it was likely co-commissioned also by the Orchestre National de France, because Fabien Gabel has conducted this season. He's conducting the premiere performance of this piece with the DSO and with the Orchestre National de France. He was in Minnesota just a few weeks ago conducting, I think 2 weeks in a row he was there. They will start out doing Thomas's Overture to Mignon. Then they'll do Sami Musa's concerto, and then they'll do Berlioz's Symphonie Fantastique. So the Symphonie Fantastique is getting played twice this week if you're following these live streams. You get 2 bites at the apple if you want to compare. Fabien Gabel, he's the music director of the Tonkunstel Orchestra Niederösterreich. That's the Southern Austrian orchestra, and which he conducts at Vienna's Musikverein. And he also appears regularly, does a lot of conducting with French orchestras, so he's a French guy. He's having his debut at the Metropolitan Opera this year with Carmen, and doing a 5-city tour of Spain with Yuja Wang and the Mahler Chamber Orchestra. Emmanuel Pahoud, he live streamed with the SWR Symphony and Francois Xavier Roth just a month ago in January. They were doing Philippe Manoury's Saccades for flute and orchestra. He live streamed with the Berlin Phil back in June, doing Takamitsu's I Hear the Water Dreaming. He's Franco-Swiss, classically trained at the Conservatory in Paris. But what happened to him was in 1992, the Berlin Philharmonic was doing a wholesale house cleaning, and a lot of older musicians were retiring or leaving, and he got in and joined the Berlin Philharmonic Orchestra in 1992, and then it was onward and upward from there. So that leaves me with one more live stream to tell you about. It's another operatic one, so I won't go into too much detail about it, but I will tell you about it. Wigmore Hall hosts a veritable Handelian opera disguised as a work of sacred music, Handel's Il trionfo del tempo e del disinganno, the triumph of time and disillusion, performed by La Nuova Musica Orchestra with director David Bates, soprano Janine DeBeek, mezzo-soprano Polly Leach, countertenor Christopher Lowry, and tenor Nick Pritchard. This will be Saturday at 8:30 in the evening European time, February 28th, 2:30 in the afternoon on the East Coast, 11:30 in the morning on the West Coast. Handel's 21 years old, and he gets invited by one of the dukes of the Medici family to come to Rome, and he did so. And he this is like 1708, and he figures, I'll go to Rome and I'll write an opera. Yeah, well, he hadn't counted on the fact that operas had been banned in the Papal States for like a decade before that. So he had to find a liturgical sacred music excuse, preferably Catholic, although he was a lifelong Lutheran. So he got a commission to set to music Pamphili's Catholic meditation on vanitas, the vulnerability of earthly beauty to the ravages of time, and thus was born Il trionfo del tempo e del disinganno, the triumph of time and disillusion. And that's what we have for you this week. I will be doing a separate live stream discussion of that, so you get the details on all these participants later on, but before the performance happens on Saturdays. Folks, I hope that any of these live streams uplifts you, inspires you, or just shows you a heck of a good time. Before I leave you, let me remind you, if you like this kind of programming, which to me is so exciting, and 90% of it's free of charge, and our services are free of charge, do yourself a favor, follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live. We're on Facebook, YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and LinkedIn, because we want to be wherever you are. So you just wander over from wherever you usually hang out and find out what's live streaming on any given day. We promise we will get you more than 1,000 live links to live performances online, like these many performances I've just told you about, every year. We've done it for 2 years running now. We're going to keep doing it. So now we have over 20,000 subscribers or followers on Facebook, and we're going to start working on building up the number of followers on Instagram and YouTube too. So if you're watching on Instagram or YouTube, we especially would love it if you would follow or subscribe to us on those platforms. With that, I will be signing off. This is the third of this week's live streams of performing arts material. On Monday, we do the organ live streams, and there were I think 8 or 9 organ live streams to tell you about. Then on Tuesday, we do the chamber music live streams. We had 12 chamber music live streams to tell you about, some of which are tonight. And then today, on Wednesdays, we do the big stage live streams, because most of your orchestral and operatic live streams do not happen on Mondays or Tuesdays. And there are organ and chamber music live streams that are already starting up on those days. So we try to get ahead of the game for you in the way that we schedule this live streaming. If you know of any additional live streams that you'd like us to make sure all of our followers know about, please leave us a note on any of the platforms where you can find us, wherever you watch us. And any comments people leave, we always get them, and we will follow up and include them on I wouldn't say on a weekly basis, but every week or two, we find a new live stream outfit, which we are happy to talk about. Like recently we discovered this North Caucasus Philharmonic, and back in the fall, I think it was the Tapiola Sinfonietta that we discovered. But there are always new ones coming online, and so we like to be able to let you know about them. With that, I will say ciao for now. Enjoy the rest of this week and all or any of these wonderful live streams that I've been telling you about. Thanks for tuning in.